High school reunions are supposed to be a time for nostalgia and catching up, but for some, they turn into spine-chilling experiences that linger long after the event. From mysterious figures to unexpected twists, these stories offer a glimpse into the darker side of high school reunions. A 10-year high school reunion looming on the horizon. Our storyteller wasn't initially thrilled about attending, but peer pressure prevailed. The event was set for a Saturday in August at a fancy catering hall, a gathering organized by their graduating class. The idea of making small talk with 100 people they hadn't seen in a decade sounded like a nightmare, but the fear of missing out kicked in. Fast forward to the big night. Our narrator, accompanied by a handful of high school buddies, arrived fashionably late, ready for some pre-game festivities. The party hall was buzzing with familiar faces, albeit a bit more weathered by time. The unexpected twist? Instead of an intimate setting for heartfelt conversations, it was a full-blown party with a DJ, dazzling lights, and a lively atmosphere. Not exactly what they had signed up for. As the night unfolded, our storyteller found themselves feeling a bit out of place at their own table, while their friends ventured off into the crowd. Enter Connor, a mysterious figure from another table, making eyes at our narrator. Sparks flew, and he wasted no time in introducing himself and laying on the charm. Was he the knight in shining armor or a harbinger of things to come? Turns out, Connor transferred to their school senior year, but his connection with others seemed a bit hazy. Despite the oddity, our narrator found him decent-looking and welcomed the company. They chatted and exchanged numbers, and everything seemed normal. Or did it? As the night wore on, our storyteller, now alone once again, began to regret not heeding that initial reluctance. Their friends were scattered, some chatting with less-than-favorite high school acquaintances. Just when it felt like the night couldn't get any stranger, Connor sent a text offering a ride home. A saving grace or the beginning of a truly bizarre encounter. So there he was, at a 10-year high school reunion. Initially, he wasn't keen on going, but his friends convinced him it would be a blast. The venue was a swanky catering hall in town, and little did he know, the night was about to take a dark turn. He rolled up to Kayla's house for some pre-game festivities with Marissa and Sophia. We called an Uber and arrived fashionably late. The party was in full swing, DJ, flashy lights, and a vibe that was more party central than a heartfelt reunion. Not exactly what we signed up for, but hey, it's a reunion, right? As the night progressed, he found myself alone at a table, awkwardly munching on snacks. That's when he noticed a guy named Connor looking in his direction. He started chatting, and he seemed normal enough. Decent-looking, engaging conversation, no red flags, or so he thought. Connor mentioned he transferred to our school senior year, and we exchanged numbers. Little did he know, this interaction would set off a chain of events that he never saw coming. Fast forward, and my friends were deep into the party, getting a bit too wasted for my liking. Connor came to the rescue, offering me a ride home. In my slightly inebriated state, he agreed. They headed to his car, a black two-door coupe, not that he was a car person. As we drove, he handed him a water bottle, advising him to drink to avoid a hangover. As he sipped, his phone exploded with calls and texts. His friends were worried, asking where he had gone. Kayla even mentioned a Facebook post warning about a guy like Connor. Not from our school, talking to girls using a different name. Reality hit him like a ton of bricks. Panic set in, and he knew he had to make a move. At a red light, he flung the door open and ran for it. Thankfully, he didn't chase him. He just kept driving. He called Kayla, and she instructed him to wait in a TGI Fridays parking lot while they Ubered over. The wait felt like an eternity, and by the time my friend arrived, he felt extremely drunk and lightheaded, and his memory was foggy. Connor spiked his water, but thankfully, he hadn't consumed much. We all crashed at Kayla's place that night. The next morning, as he returned home, there was a knock on my door. His heart raced, thinking it was Connor. To his relief, it was his neighbor. He revealed that the guy had been snooping around my apartment the previous night, asking if this was where Miranda lived. Quick thinking from his neighbor saved him from a potential nightmare. He moved to a different apartment in the same community when his lease was up, just to be safe. Grateful for his friends who tried to warn him, and my neighbor's quick wits. High school reunions can be nostalgic, but for him, this one turned into a true horror story. Senior year, a little romance, a little drama. Our storyteller had a brief fling with a guy named Tyler, but things took a dark turn when he started giving off those crazy and obsessive vibes. Cutting him off didn't sit well with Tyler. He unleashed a barrage of threatening texts, claiming he knew everything, from where she lived to her parents' schedule. It got so intense that one night, he showed up at her parents' house, throwing rocks at her window. Yeah, seriously, like something out of a horror movie. As time passed, Tyler's interest waned and the harassment subsided. However, the scars lingered. Fast forward to the high school reunion, and our storyteller, alongside her best friend Julia, was hoping for a night of nostalgia and catching up with old pals. But fate had other plans. The venue was buzzing with around 50 people, a decent turnout for a small grade. Then, out of the shadows, Tyler reappeared. A tap on the shoulder, and there he was, ready to talk. Cue the sinking feeling. Despite years of silence, his first words were, "Hey, can we talk?" The answer was a firm no from our storyteller, attempting to walk away, only to be physically stopped by Tyler. The night took a dark turn as she struggled to avoid him. In a conversation with Julia and some girls, it became apparent that Tyler's history of being a creepy aggressor wasn't limited to our storyteller. The tension rose as the mood soured, but thankfully, Tyler seemed to vanish after a while. A sigh of relief. As our storyteller arrived home, another ominous moment unfolded. A mysterious Jeep Cherokee passed by, sparking concern. Paranoia or justified curiosity, she couldn't shake the uneasy feeling. The next day, she checked Tyler's Instagram, which had turned private. A follow request from her fake account was accepted, but no signs of a Jeep, a small comfort. Then came the Instagram DMs, a manipulative attempt to reignite a connection. Faced with the same old creepy vibes, she blocked him. Little did she know that blocking him would trigger something even more terrifying. That very night, at 1:30 a.m., the doorbell rang incessantly, a chilling wake-up call. Fear gripped our storyteller as the possibility of Tyler's presence loomed large. High school reunions are supposed to be about shared memories and laughter, but for our storyteller, it became a heart-pounding journey through a past she thought she had escaped. The lesson here: some things from high school shouldn't resurface, especially if they come with a side of obsessive-aggressive vibes. So there he was, alone at home, far away from my parents, who used to chase away unwanted visitors. The doorbell started ringing, morphing into angry pounds that echoed through my apartment. Panic set in as he thought, "What do I do now?" The relentless pounding continued, mixed with incessant doorbell rings. Finally, he mustered the courage to check, but when he peeked out the window, there was no one in sight. That night, sleep became a distant memory as I kept one eye open, fearing the unknown. The next day, with the help of a friend's dad and his detective connection, we took action. Pictures of threatening texts from years ago and recent DMs were snapped. The detective issued a verbal warning to Tyler, the source of the harassment, putting a stop to the ominous pounding. Looking back, it made me wish we'd involved the police years ago. Some people, it turns out, simply don't change. The fear lingered, and he couldn't help but wonder if Tyler would resurface at the upcoming 10-year reunion.